Well, hello. This is Juris Kaža from Riga again. On a rather special day for Latvians because today we celebrate our version of midsummer. Now, the former solstice was a couple of days ago, but June the 23rd and June the 24th are the holiday commonly known as Jāņi or St. John's Day or whatever you want to call it. The evening celebration is called the Evening of Ligo, and tomorrow is Jānis's Day, the 24th. This is marked by Latvians going out to the countryside, building bonfires, sometimes putting up a burning barrel up on a pole, sort of signaling to their neighbors that they're celebrating, singing the traditional Ligua songs, which is a kind of an accompaniment, Ligua to various rhymes, some of them pretty risque and ribald and used to sort of joke around with the neighbors and the other folks who have come to your celebration. This is accompanied by a lot of drinking of beer. In addition to the singing and the eating of a special Jānis cheese, which has got a lot of caraway seeds in it. It's pretty good. It's kind of a soft and very fresh cheese because you usually make it a few days before the actual Jānis celebration starts. So, and this is something that I think the Estonians and the Lithuanians also do around this time of year. Except in Latvia, we have a very long holiday. Basically started last Saturday, Sunday, Monday was kind of a gap day that was switched for a lot of workplaces, I guess, for last Saturday or whenever, and so we have about 4 or 5 days off. Hopefully that will all go well because earlier, I mean, it's diminishing, but earlier times, the Jāņi holiday was also a time when there were a lot of traffic accidents. It's sort of like the 4th of July weekend sometimes was in the US. But I hope that most Latvians are fairly sensible drinkers and drivers, and there's a lot of social advertisements on TV reminding them to drive safely and so forth and so on. Um, Otherwise, sort of politics has come to a bit of a halt here because the Latvian Parliament, or the Saima, has adjourned for the summer. The law on territorial reform, which reduced the number of municipalities in Latvia from 119 to 42, has been passed, and it has been signed and proclaimed by the president of Latvia, Egils Levits, even though he had a few misgivings about it, and even though 46 of the about to be merged or abolished municipalities wrote to him asking him not to sign the law. But be that as it may, I think that's not the end of it. I think there will be court cases and other issues surrounding this. But at the end of the day, we shall see if reducing the number of municipalities to units that are somewhat larger and somewhat more economical viable will work or not. The other thing that was passed in the final days of this Parliament session, excuse me, was a law that would mandate that the basic package of cable or pay TV services, and most TV here is paid, it comes through the internet, except there's free to air TV, but not many people watch that anymore. That is going to be the basic package is going to have to be 80% in European Union languages and 20% in anything else, which is kind of an effort to push away or push back a lot of these Russian language channels that people claim broadcast Kremlin propaganda and are pretty hostile to the idea about the Baltic states being what they are. There is a lot of truth to that, but I don't know if doing this will solve anything. It will, of course, retain the entire spectrum of Russian channels, except for those that have been that have been banned here earlier. Those will be automatically put in the premium package. And as I said, the entire spectrum will be there. Some of them will be part of a premium Russian language package, and I think the people who are big fans of this Russian television will continue to watch and pay a few euro extra, or they'll watch it over the internet. They'll watch it there. There are so many ways to get streaming video in this country, which has one of the fastest optical internet networks in the world, that it shouldn't be a problem. So I don't know what that issue was all about. It was sort of just to show the, I don't know, show the flag to the Russian broadcasters. At the same time, as Latvia, unlike Estonia, which has a Russian language channel aimed at its own domestic Russian speaking audience, Latvia has, well, some programming on the other TV channel, the second TV channel in Latvia, which is strangely enough called TV7, although there are only two channels on public service TV. And that is actually going to be broadcasting even more in Latvian than before. And there's going to be some sort of platform on the internet for minority language programming, which I guess could include not only Russian, but possibly Estonian, Lithuanian, Polish, the bigger minorities that supposedly live in this country. So that's kind of a thing that actually will not come into force until about a year from now, on July 1st, 2021. Here, otherwise, the weather is quite fine. It's ideal for going out to the countryside and celebrating this Jāņi holiday, which is the traditional way to celebrate it. Earlier, in the late 90s or the mid to late 90s, when I first came to Latvia, there was this whole thing of holding these mass events where a prominent Latvian artist or band or whatever would sort of build a program around him or her. And then hundreds or thousands of people would flock to this place around some kind of outdoor stage and auditorium, and sit there watching whatever was going on. Now, the most grotesque experience I remember from those times is that I drove out to one of the outlying suburbs of Riga, where there was a comedian that I like, a guy called UFO, but it's a long story what kind of associations his name has. And I thought, well, all right, I'll go out there and watch. And I had my son was a little boy at the time, and I had a little girl, neighbor girl with us, and so we went out there, and we unrolled our blanket and sat down, and then we noticed these other folks sat down next to us. Well, fine, there are a lot of families and whatever there, and these people popped out a battery-powered small TV and watched one of the main national events. The one of them was, like, I think maybe even the prominent Latvian pianist and composer Raimons Pauls was having a concert for Jāņi, or there was this other stunt where a number of prominent people who were called Jānis were asked to sing, whether they could sing or not. But so they were watching one of these things next to us on a battery-powered TV, and the comedian UFO and various other acts were taking place on this stage among, several thousand people sitting around this outdoor arena type place in, I think it was the town of Salaspils or Ogre, somewhere outside of Riga. But it was pretty bizarre. So that sort of seems to have come to an end, and people are, well, with COVID and all that, people have been discouraged from going out in large crowds. So we will not have the whole scene that we had here in Riga a couple, somehow a little bit tired, but a couple of that we had for several years when the municipality held a big celebration by the riverside along the Daugava River. And there were bonfires and people were selling beer and people were selling shish kebabs or shashliks, which has also become a kind of traditional food around this time. That's not going to happen again this year because of the COVID pandemic and not getting together, which of course led our prime minister to yet again pull off a bit of a strange statement. He said that, well, this year you should go seeking the flowering fern in your family circle. Now, going to seek the flowering fern on Jānis night or Lego night or whatever you want to call it is a kind of clear code word for going out with whoever you happen to be with and sort of having sex in the woods, and that kind of, when you're supposed to do this within your family circle, it comes out sort of bizarre. Which sort of tops off Prime Minister Karin's statement around Easter that, well, you shouldn't have big family gatherings at Easter. You should just sort of show our eggs off to each other, like what on Skype or something like that. But the term eggs in Latvian can also apply to describe testicles. So that was also got sort of laughs all around the country, and that was topped off by this, let's go look for the fern in our family circle, so, but we have a pretty good prime minister, and I guess some of these weird things that he's pulled off can be forgiven. Anyway, we seem to be recovering. We've had a couple of days in a row with nobody reporting COVID positive, and I think the whole area, the whole three Baltic states, still haven't really reached 200 deaths yet, compared to the absolute, you know, incredible figures that we're seeing in places like Sweden, which is almost similar in population. It's a little bit bigger. It's got 10 million people. We have about 6 point whatever million here in the three Baltic states, and it isn't even, we're not even close to the death rates that they have over there. So whatever it was that we were doing seems to have worked, and we seem to be coming perhaps out of the whole COVID thing and into a nice, warm, and pleasant summer where I think people will try to reasonably, keeping socially distant, get back to a semblance of normal life. Well, so that's all that I have to say on this pleasant, sunny Jāņi celebration evening, where by tradition, actually, it should be raining, but it's not. Signing off from Riga, this is Juris Kaža.